So the United States is bolstering its military presence right now in Europe based on what's happening over there. And we have Iran, China, and Russia conducting military drills right in Latin America. But what's happening here in the United States that's more likely to directly affect you? Well, right now there's some stories circulating around the idea that federal agencies around the country are stocking up on guns and ammo, which means you probably should be too, but there's some things we need to address about this situation, and then there's some things we need to conceptualize and think about when it comes to the possible emergencies we're facing here in this country. Now, there's a story going around that the IRS has already spent $725,000 on ammunition alone this year, which may have some of you concerned for obvious reasons. And we also have another YouTube channel, which is a great channel called God, Family, and Guns, talking about the fact that the USDA has recently purchased a large amount of .40 caliber submachine guns, and they also talk about a lot of other federal agencies arming up on their channel as well. So make sure you check them out. I'll put a link up here if you're interested in that information. But this is all relative to what's happening in the world right now and relative to the size of these agencies. And we have to understand that if something were to happen here domestically, it would affect us sooner than something that's happening overseas or even down in Latin America, even though there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about that activity. Now, federal agencies are regularly buying up ammunition and firearms. This is a common practice, so it's not necessarily something to be alarmed over right this second, but it should remind you that they're consistently stocking up on ammo and new firearms because they're consistently adding more people to the ranks, and they're training and they're getting ready for the fact that they may need to use some of this equipment. And that should tell you what you should be doing as well, especially based on the trajectory that our society is currently on. And one thing I thought would be very interesting for us to talk about is just how many of these agents there are that are armed and have the authority to arrest. Because you have to keep in mind that although the militaries have all of these different things happening around the world right now, these federal agencies are in charge of enforcing the law upon you and I, those of us who live here in the country. So these are the people you may want to at least pay attention to based on what will affect you directly. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to go ahead and say that, but I want you to understand that this is something you should be paying attention to. And they are buying up ammo and guns, and they're getting ready for whatever it is they're going to have to encounter here in the future, which is something they regularly do. So I'm trying to make sure you understand that this is a common practice, but it's something that we should probably be paying a little bit more attention to based on current scenarios. Okay, so let's get into how many agents are in these agencies and how many there are total in the country to give you a bird's eye view as to why this is all happening, but also why you should be prepared for this to be a possible issue at some point in time. All right. So we're going to actually read off a paper, which is not usually how I do things around here, but this is a lot of numbers to remember, and I don't want to tell you them in the wrong order or anything along those lines. So let's just get started. I'll go top to bottom. We'll bust it out, all right? U.S. Customs and Border Protection, 36,863 officers. Federal Bureau of Prisons, 16,835 officers. Federal Bureau of Investigation, 12,760 officers. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, 12,446. U.S. Secret Service, 5,213. Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts, 4,696. Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, 4,308. U.S. Marshal Service, 3,313. Let's see, Veterans Health Administration, 3,128. Internet or Internal Revenue Service, might as well be Internet Service. Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Bureau, 2,636. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or everybody's favorite ATF, 2,541. U.S. Postal Inspection Service, 2,288. U.S. Capitol Police, 1,637. National Park Service Rangers, 1,404. Bureau of Diplomatic Security, 1,049. Pentagon Force Protection Agency, 7,025. 7,725. I try to give them a lot more credit than they deserved. Okay. U.S. Forest Service, 644. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, 598. National Park Service, U.S. Park Police, 547. National Nuclear Security Administration, 363. U.S. Mint Police, 316. Amtrak Police, 305. Bureau of Indian Affairs, 277. Bureau of Land Management, 255. Now, I do want to say that these numbers aren't very large in the grand scheme of things. But when you add it all together, you get a total of 115,147 armed federal agents with the authority to arrest within this country. So that is a large amount of people if they were to be grouped in one area. However, this is of course spread all over the United States, including Alaska, including Hawaii, and just everywhere else. But this is something you need to consider because honestly, there's a lot of reasons why they have to buy the amount of ammunition they have to buy. There's a lot of reasons why they have to buy the amount of firearms they have to buy. But we should also keep in mind that they are stocking up on these items because they acquire more training and they acquire more recruits on a regular basis. And it's because they have to be able to enforce federal laws on people like you and I on a regular basis. And this is something you should definitely be thinking about because if things keep degrading in this country and keep going in that downward spiral we've been in for quite some time now, we have to expect the federal government, which will be these federal agencies, to exercise their authority over the masses in order to maintain some level of control. Because without that level of control, anarchy erupts, and we're only 9 meals away from that. So this is why I wanted you to consider this situation. This is why you should be stocking up on things like ammunition and firearms as well, because let's be honest, if they're doing it, there's probably good reason behind it. And if the only reason is additional training and recruitment in the sense of maybe in your neck of the woods, adding some more people to your mutual assistance group or getting more people involved with preparedness or introducing new gun owners to firearms ownership, those things could all apply to you as well. We all need more training and we all need more hands. And that's something that they understand perfectly fine and that we need to be better about in the preparedness community. So I wanted to mention this, give you some things to think about, and hopefully you can leave some comments below to let me know your thoughts as to why they're gearing up right now, which, like I said, is common practice, but they're definitely doing it and it may be escalating a little bit. So something to keep in mind. That's going to be it for Magic Prepper.